Hey, welcome to this podcast where the truth is released to inspire you to find your voice, bring out the gold within you, and help you reach your full potential to roar out loud in the world around you. I'm your host, Mary Street. This podcast is where we believe in turning up the volume on life's practical tips, impart insightful wisdom, as well as share life stories of triumph, resilience, and passion. Get ready to amplify your life and ignite your courage. This is Roar Out Loud. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Roar Out Loud podcast. I'm excited you're here with me today. Today I've got a great one because it speaks so personal to my heart. And the reality is as well, it speaks to the season that I'm in with some things going on in my life right now. And if it's speaking to me, I know it's going to speak to you. So stay tuned. Put your seatbelt on and get ready. Do you feel called to step into something? Maybe it's something small, maybe it's something big, but do you feel called to step into it and you feel, oh man, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do this? Today we're going to talk about being called but not feeling ready. How to lead with faith when you actually feel inadequate. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Those feelings of inadequacy. And like I said, that's the season that I'm in right now with different things that I am leaning into right now in the season that I'm in. Okay, so the reality is it's not a mistake that you're listening to this particular podcast today. Maybe you've not been on my podcast before, but I guarantee you, God directed you here for this episode. You're here because deep down, you know that there's something more that you're supposed to be heading into with your life. You know that there's something that you're supposed to be stepping into. Maybe that thing is leading something. Maybe it's like leading a small group. Maybe it's something in your workplace, something in your business place, something that you're creating and that you're doing and you know you're supposed to step out with it. Maybe it's starting something new. Maybe it's stepping up and mentoring someone or mentoring someone's, like as in a group or something that you're supposed to start. Or maybe it's stepping into that space and speaking. Maybe it's through a podcast like this. Maybe you're called to speak from stages. Maybe you're called to speak in different arenas, even in the business world. But you're finding it hard to step into that place because of feelings of inadequacy. And those feelings, they lie to us. That's the reality of it. You know, sometimes there's those voices in your head. They say, you? Really? Really? You? Do you think you're all that great? You're not that great of a speaker. You can't do that thing. You're not qualified to start that podcast. You're not qualified to step out and lead that group. You're not good enough. You don't know enough. You're not smart enough. You haven't studied theology deep enough. There's all those voices that just bombard you with different things. And the reality is, they're lies. They're lies that we choose to step into that space and we partner with them. I want to tell you a story about myself. You know, throughout my life, I've always had different avenues of leadership that I've been called into. But this particular story is in high school. You know, I got invited into a space to lead as a co-leader of the Christian club on campus. And you know what? The reality was, I so did not feel qualified. I knew that part of leading was showing up weekly. It was praying with the students. I was a student too, so it was praying with my peers. It was leading Bible studies with my peers. It was stepping up and showing up early in the morning at See You at the Pole. That's when we would gather around the flagpoles once a year. You had no idea who would show up. And there was that thing, that lie, like, who's going to show up? You're not really influential. Why would people follow you? That lie that would just come after me and constantly settle in my mind and in my heart. And it would always question, my ability to lead. And it was hard. And when I was invited into that space, I just was like, really? Really? Am I qualified? Am I really qualified to lead? I knew I needed to step into that space. I knew that that was what God was calling me into. I could feel it. I could feel that pull. And some of you, like I'm speaking right now and telling you this story, you feel that tug. You feel that pull. You feel that drawing. And God is drawing you to actually step into a space of leadership in your life. But you feel those feelings of, can I really do this? Am I really qualified? I feel so inadequate, God. How can I do this? I actually don't feel qualified. I'm so not qualified. And when you say I'm so not qualified, you really are partnering with that lie that comes and challenges you and challenges who you are and challenges what you're called to actually do. If you're like me and you've constantly been invited into leadership spaces, the reality is, guess what? You are a leader. You're called to lead. You are a leader. Some of you need to hear that today. You are a leader. I remember in college also, when I was in my 20s, my early 20s, I was a part of a group. Now, some of you guys might laugh at this, but I was part of a group. It was called the rodeo team. And we would actually go to rodeos like the Kansas City Royal and different rodeos in the area that I was in, because I was in Springfield, Missouri. So we would actually go to these rodeos and we would hold what was called cowboy church for the cowboys and cowgirls that were participating in the rodeos and that wanted to go to church, because a lot of times the rodeos were held over the weekend. So I remember being in my 20s, I was asked to help lead worship at several of these rodeos. And I remember going, who am I to lead worship? First off, I don't play the guitar that well. And that's what I was asked to do, step into that space of playing guitar, because they knew that I played guitar some. And I just felt so inadequate to lead in that space. And I was so self-conscious of my voice and my ability to play, really, and my ability to lead people and to lead people well. I almost said no when they asked me to step into this space. I almost said no, because in my mind, I thought, oh my goodness, here I am supposed to be playing, but here's the reality. Worship leaders, they're supposed to be flawless. They're supposed to have it all together. They're supposed to, definitely be way more qualified than I'm qualified. And the reality was, God simply needed my yes. But I was so afraid because my eyes were so looking inward instead of looking to Him to be my everything in that moment. So I literally almost said no, because I knew I was anything but flawless. The truth is, if we're all honest, that feeling is common, and it's more common than you know. It's common amongst your peer groups. It's common amongst my peer groups. I'm in my 40s. The reality is yes, me. We all deal with feelings like that. We all deal with it. And sometimes it's easy to get over it quickly when you've learned to recognize the lie. And other times it feels like it is so much the truth. Here's the deal though. It is so not the truth. So let me tell you something that sounds really cliche, and you're probably going to laugh at this statement, but it's so, so, so true. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. You, my friend, you're called. You're called to step into the sphere of influence that you are called to. I'm going to say that again. I've said it before on past podcasts. You are called, and you're called to step into the sphere of influence that you are called to. And so if you are called to a certain space, maybe it's the media, maybe it's writing, maybe it's banking, maybe it's in business somewhere else, maybe it's tech, maybe it's the dance space, the creative arts, whatever space that you are called into, guess what? You have everything inside of you to be qualified when you lay it down and you give it to God and allow Him to raise you up into it. Does it mean that you know everything about that space? No. Does it mean that you have every tool? No, but it does mean that you have the anointing. It means that you have what God placed in you before you were born in your mother's womb. You have that, and you have the ability inside of you to step into it when you choose to partner with Him in that space. So He doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies. He qualifies the called. Lately I've been in the book of Exodus. I've been reading that book, and God just brought me to that book, and He's been highlighting some things for me in that book. And it has to do with this very season that I'm in. God's been calling me. Like I said, He's been calling me to step out into some things that feel bigger than what I feel qualified for, honestly. And as I'm reading the book of Exodus, God is just like, man, so speaking to me. So I want to take you to Exodus, and I want you to look at someone who said the same thing that you might be feeling, the same thing that I've been feeling. And you're probably going to know this name. It's Moses. Have you heard of Moses before? Moses in Exodus 3. Moses, here he was. He's a man that God called to lead the Israelites out of slavery. And you can find this in Exodus chapter 3, throughout the book of Exodus in some areas, but specifically I want to focus on Exodus chapter 3. Moses is literally standing in front of the burning bush, and God is talking to him. How many of you that would get your attention if you saw a burning bush and then you heard a voice coming out of it? Yeah, it got Moses's attention. He's like, hello. Yes, okay, I'm totally listening. And God's telling him to go to Pharaoh, who was the leader of the land there in Egypt. Go to Pharaoh and tell him, let my people go. I want you to release the Israelites, and I want them to come out of slavery. God is telling Moses, I want you to go talk to Pharaoh, and I want you to go and help release the Israelites and get them out of slavery. And you know what Moses does in that moment? Moses is like, what in the world? What the heck? Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? Who am I? Who am I that I can actually go and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? Who am I? He says that in Exodus chapter 3, verse 11. Who am I? Sound familiar? How many of you are saying, who am I? Who am I? That's what I've been saying lately. Who am I that I can step into this space? Who am I? Do you notice one thing? I've noticed one thing, even as I've been in the book of Exodus and also just contemplating this with the Lord. I've noticed one thing. The enemy always comes. He always comes and questions your identity. He always comes and questions my identity. The enemy is always knocking on that door of my heart and going, Mary, who are you? Who are you? Who are you to do this? Who are you to write that book? Who are you to get on and podcast? Who's going to even really listen? I had that challenge before I ever started this podcast. There are some of you out there listening right now, and you know you're supposed to be podcasting. You know that your voice is called to make an impact in this world. And you haven't started that podcast yet because you've not chosen to cross the chicken line. And you're questioning, who am I? That was me. That was so me. That was so me. When it comes to writing, that's so me. Who am I? Who am I that can write that book or even write the other books that I know are in my heart? Who am I? Every time I get up to preach or speak, I'm like, who am I? That comes back, and I have to remind myself of who God says I am, who He says I am. I have so many words that have been spoken over me from different people that I trust, that I know see me, and they know me. And I trust those words. I've come to a place where I trust those words, and I go back to those places. I go back to when I've sat with God and I've journaled and He's spoken to me about who I am. I go back to those places when the enemy comes knocking and he questions my identity, because he always will do that. He always will do that. And I have found the bigger the platform, the more he questions. The bigger the platform, the more he questions. He questions your identity. The more you're supposed to step out in, he questions your identity. And friend, it's not about the platform. It's about what God has called you to do. And when it came to Moses, the reality is God didn't respond to him with like, oh, no, Moses, you need to actually make your resume better because it doesn't look good enough. Because, yeah, actually, you're not qualified. God doesn't want your resume. He doesn't want any of that. He didn't go to Moses and say, Moses, what's your talents? Are you actually talented enough to lead the people out of Israel? No, he didn't do that. He doesn't come to me and say, Mary, are you talented enough to be a speaker and step on that stage? Mary, are you talented enough to start that podcast? Mary, are you talented enough to write that book? Mary, are you talented enough to be a mother, to be a wife, to be a spiritual mother? Are you talented enough? No, he's not looking for my resume. He's not looking for your resume. He's not looking to see what talents you have in you. He already knows what he's placed inside of you. And he sees what you are capable of and who you're capable of becoming. He's already seen it. He's already seen it. And so he's like, you're qualified. Mary, you're qualified. And that's what he was saying to Moses. Moses, you're qualified. And he simply says in Exodus 3:12, he says, I will be with you. Moses, guess what? I will be with you. You don't have to worry. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the big stuff. Guess what, Moses? I will be with you. And I'm saying that to you today. He will be with you. Step out. He'll be with you. And that's it. It's not about, no, you're good enough, so therefore I'll use you. Or you've got this. I'll be with you. No, he's like, I actually will be with you. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. So guess what? Brush those lies off. Brush the lies off that you're not ready. Let's break those lies. We live in a time where readiness is defined by like image followers. Like, you're on social media, you're scrolling through social media and you see people look perfect. Or you see in social media someone standing on that stage or speaking at that event, or, behind the scenes of recording their podcast, and they look so perfect. Or you see somebody that, is speaking from a stage and they're Dr. So-and-so, and they've got the credentials. Or you see somebody that's speaking behind the camera and they've got all the charisma. And you know what? You start comparing yourself. Or you read a book and you go, whoo, I'm not that great of a writer yet. And you start comparing yourself. Comparison kills. Comparison kills. It kills. It kills. I can't say that enough. Comparison kills. Here's the deal. In the Bible, it's not about comparison. In the Bible, it's about your yes. It's about stepping into obedience with the Father. And leadership starts with obedience. I'm going to say that again. Leadership starts with obedience. It doesn't start with your appearance. It doesn't start with how eloquent your speech is. Moses was like, God, I can't speak. I can't speak. That didn't stop God from telling him, guess what, Moses, you can do this. You've got this. I'm with you. So it doesn't start with any of those things. It doesn't start with how perfect your teeth look. It doesn't start with how perfect your skin looks. And I'm talking to me. I'm talking to me because I even have dealt with issues like that. My skin used to be so perfect. So perfect. I used to have the perfect skin. And then guess what happened? In 2012, I started breaking out with little spots of vitiligo. If you haven't heard of that, you can look it up if you're curious. And it's when your cells begin to attack your other cells, your good cells attack each other. Anyway, the reality is my skin no longer was perfect, and I had to deal with that. I literally used to question, oh my goodness, how can I speak on stage? Everyone's going to be looking at my skin and not literally listening to what I have to say. Isn't it crazy how the enemy comes in with these crazy little lies, sometimes big lies, and literally tries to keep you down? It's not about what you look like on the outside. It's not about your perfect speech. It's not about, like I said, the charisma that you carry. It's not about the money you have. There are some people that have lots of money that have paid other people money to give them a spot speaking on stage. It's not about that. What anointing do you carry? What has God gifted you with that you're called to step into? It's all about your yes and stepping into that obedience with God. Can we be real for a minute? Let's be real. Imposter syndrome is loud in today's world. It is so loud. It really is, that whole thing of comparison. And it's so easy to think that everyone has it all together and they've got their life set out. Their life is fully figured out. You see them speaking on stage, speaking behind a podcast, writing that book. It's easy to think that those people don't have issues, that they don't have problems. Maybe some of you listening, you think that about me. But the reality is, I struggle. I struggle with things in my life. I struggled with imposter syndrome. I struggled with feelings of inadequacy. I still struggle with those things from time to time. If I'm being real honest, and I want to be fully transparent and honest, I do struggle. And then I have to go, wait a minute, Mary, no. Comparison kills. Don't look at the other person and compare yourself. What gifts and tools has God put into your life, Mary? What has he put into your life? What has he given you? What things have you gone through that's giving you the authority to speak into other people right now? I want to tell you something that many of you guys need to hear right now. God isn't about you having all the kinks ironed out or how impressive you can look. He's not about that at all. You know what he is about? He's about your yes. He's about your availability to step in even when it feels hard, to step in even when you don't feel adequate enough, to step in when you feel less than. And it's about knowing and coming into agreement by faith that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. That's what it says in Philippians 4:13. That's the truth of the word of God over your life. You can do all things through Christ. Through Christ. That's the key words right there. Through Christ. We can't do it on our own. I can't do it on my own. But through him, he qualifies me. Through him, he qualifies you. Readiness isn't about having all the answers. It's about having that willing heart. And in that place, he qualifies you. I want to give you some takeaways today. I'm sure you already got a lot of takeaways. I'm trusting that you did. But I want to give you some takeaways today on practical leadership truths when it comes to this. If you're wrestling with feeling unready, not qualified, less than, you're dealing with comparison, all those things that we've been talking about today, I want to give you 5 things to remember today. Number 1, God's presence will always cover you. It will always surround you. You know, like I said, Moses had that stuttering problem. He stuttered. And the reality is, God gave him Aaron. God gave him Aaron. And Aaron became Moses' voice for him. Together they would go and approach Pharaoh. God gave Moses and Aaron, and God took care of the problem. He covered him, and you are covered. When you choose to step out and step in with the Father, even when you feel inadequate, you may not get an errand, but I guarantee you, God will cover you. He will cover you, and you can trust him in that. Number 2, David, he was so young. He was just a shepherd boy. He was the shepherd boy, yet he killed lions, he killed bears, and he went out there and he faced Goliath. Not with these big old weapons, not with all the armor, even though Saul put his armor on David and David was like lost in the armor. I can just imagine this little shepherd boy not able to wear this oversized armor. I can picture it because I've got a son too. But it's funny to me. And here was David, and he was young, but age is just a number. The reality is God gave David strength. He put faith in David, and David stepped out. Even in that little mustard seed of faith, David stepped out and he took care of the giant. Are you going to choose to step out with your mustard seed of faith and take care of the giants in your path? I dare you to step out. Number 3, Esther, she was afraid. You know the story of Queen Esther? She was afraid. God had called her to actually step out and once again, just like Moses, to save her people, the Israelites. And she had to go before the king. She had to extend her scepter. And if he accepted it, she got to live. And she got to have a voice. And that's what happened. If he didn't, she would have been dead. But the reality is she chose to step into that space of faith. And she trusted in her God, the God of her people, the God of her people. And she chose to step into that space of reality of what 2 Timothy 1:7 says. God did not give us a spirit of fear, but he gave us power, love, and a sound mind. And some of you guys today, you need to hear that. God did not give you a spirit of fear, but he is giving you power. He's giving you love, and he's giving you a sound mind. You can do this. You've got this. And I love these reminders because God used these people because his presence covered them. He covered their inadequacies. He used them in spite of their lack, so to speak, in the natural realm, what people would see, their lack. He knew what was inside of them. And when they said yes, he covered them. Okay, number 4, growth happens on the way as you step out. You're not meant to be or to show up perfect. You grow into your calling. You grow into all that God has called you to be as you choose to step up and walk, putting one foot in front of the other. You just keep walking with him and you step out and you step out and you trust him. Even if you only have that little bit of mustard seed of faith inside of you, you keep stepping and you trust him. You choose to show up and you trust him by stepping out. All right, here's the 5th one. Number 5, are you ready? Insecurity can be a sign of surrender when you feel inadequate. That's the truth. Your insecurities can be a sign of surrender. You go, God, I feel so insecure, so I surrender. It's an invitation. Your insecurities can lead you to an invitation if you allow them to. You go, God, I fully surrender because I don't feel adequate enough. And I know my feelings lie to me sometimes. So God, here you go. Here's my insecurity. Here's my imposter syndrome. Here's all the things that I'm dealing with. Here's the comparison. God, take it. Take it. And you lean in with him and you allow him to come in and to cover those places in your heart and speak truth over you. Speak truth. It's so important to lean in. So yeah, insecurity can be a sign of surrender when you feel inadequate. And you know what? In my opinion, it's an invitation. Just like I was just talking about. It's an invitation into greater intimacy, into deeper realms with the Father. It's an invitation into a greater realm of understanding his strength over you and how he covers you in those seasons or moments of, I just don't feel good enough. 2 Corinthians 12:9, it says, my grace is sufficient. My grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in your weakness. Let me read that again. 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in your weakness. What an incredible verse, huh? That is an incredible verse because that's the reality. He is made perfect in our weakness when we come to him and say, God, I don't have it all together. I can't do this, but I know that you can. Okay, for today, your challenge and takeaway, I want you to ask yourself, where am I hesitating because I don't feel ready? Where am I hesitating in my life with something that I'm supposed to step into because I don't feel ready? Where am I hesitating? And I want you to flip that. Flip it. What if not ready, so to speak, not ready is exactly where God wants you to be? He wants you to be in that place of, God, I'm not ready, so that he can fully take over. He can fully step in and cover you and show you the truth of the season that you're in. What would it look like to say yes anyway? What would it look like to say yes in your feelings of inadequacy, in your feelings of not ready? What would it look like to just step out anyway and go after that big thing? Go after the things that you know you're called to step into. What would it look like? Dream into it. Step into that place of dreaming with God, into unlocking what that would look like. And I like to say, in reality, and something I've been saying to myself, cross over the chicken line. I dare you, cross over the chicken line. And I keep saying that to me, Mary, you got to cross over the chicken line. It's time to cross over the chicken line. What does that mean? Full surrender to God, completely go for it. What do I have to lose? Cross over the chicken line. I dare you. And you know what? Take it to him. Like we've been talking about, God, I don't feel ready. But guess what? I'm going to cross over this chicken line. God, I'm not as good as that person. But guess what? I'm going to cross over the chicken line. God, what if nobody buys those tickets to that event? But guess what? I'm going to cross over the chicken line. God, what if nobody reads my book? But guess what? I'm going to cross over the chicken line. God, what if no one listens to that podcast? What if I can't get it to grow? What if this? What if that happens? But guess what? I'm going to cross over the chicken line. God, I don't feel ready, but I trust you. God, I don't feel ready. I feel inadequate. But I know I'm called. I know that you've called me. I know that you've equipped me. So God, today, I'm giving you my yes. I'm giving you my yes. What would it look like? I dare you to cross over that chicken line and give God your yes. Hey, if this episode reminded you that you're not alone in these feelings of inadequacy and all these things and feeling unready, I want you to share it today. If you know that this podcast is for somebody in your life, I want you to share it today. Who in your sphere of influence needs to hear this podcast? I know even recording it, I needed to hear this podcast. I was speaking to myself as much as I was speaking to you. So I want you to share this podcast today. Send it to somebody that you know needs this encouragement. Thanks for listening. Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this podcast, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends and family. Always remember, your voice matters. Your dreams are worth pursuing. And you, my friend, have the power to roar out loud.